And a part of me thinks that the player that does win this chip,
a championship,
in 2024 will be the new face of the NBA. But there's another player that people are not talking about in this capacity.
Explain.
Arguably the most popular player in the world right now. And I'm talking about, you are not going to believe who is going to be the new face of the NBA. We had the Nuggets eliminated recently, and we got 4 teams left in the NBA playoffs. You got Anthony Edwards from the Timberwolves. You got Tyrese Haliburton, Luka Doncic from the daggone Mavericks, and of course, Jason Tatum from the Boston Celtics. But will one of these guys be the new face of the NBA?
Of what?
Back in the 60s, back in the 70s, the league didn't have the best reputation, right? There was baseball, football. Basketball really wasn't as popular as it is now. It wasn't the global game that you know today. There was a time, though, where there was a shift. And it happened in the late 70s when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson rose up onto the scene. They had a big game, a national championship game. I believe it was 79. And it was one of the most viewed basketball games in history, one of the biggest sporting events in history. Now, college basketball at that time was more popular than NBA basketball. So when they finally had a rivalry, as well as 2 players to kind of carry the narrative, that translated right into, or transitioned and transcended right into the NBA game. So when these players were drafted, Magic went to the Lakers, Bird went to the Celtics, 2 storied franchises who already had a built-in rivalry. So the Lakers and the Celtics, they already had a rivalry. They had played in the finals against each other for, numerous times. And now they were getting these 2 young stars. So it was like almost the stars were aligning for the NBA. And Bird and Magic were the face of the NBA, 2 guys, until Michael Jordan came along. And when Michael Jordan came along, we had a new face of the NBA. He was like undoubtedly, no one stood with him. He was by himself, and he was really the first one-man face of the NBA at that level, right? We had good players great players, I should say, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, but the game wasn't as popular. With his sneakers and then also with the 92 Barcelona Olympics, he kind of was the player that took the game international and didn't just become the face of the NBA, but became a global icon, transcending sports. Like, it was beyond sports with Mike, right? So when Mike retired, at that time, Kobe Bryant was the closest thing that we had seen to Mike. And he kind of became the face of the NBA. When LeBron came into the league, him and Kobe kind of shared the stage for a little bit, but when Kobe retired, it was officially LeBron's league. And that's kind of where we are now. No one has really came up and I'm the new guy. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, these guys, even James Harden, stars like that. Actually, I would just say Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, although they are notable stars, superstars in the league, they're not LeBron James. So they've never really been considered the face of the league. Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, although they are superstars, 2 of them have championships with Giannis and Jokic, but they have never really been viewed as the most marketable or the face of the league, right? So we've been looking and talking. A lot of names come up. People say, Ja Morant. Ja Morant is so busy getting on Facebook Live with the blicky, on IG Live in the topless bar with the blicky, that maybe he can't focus. Hopefully he will. I want Ja to win, right? But people said Ja at some points. Then you have these playoffs, and you see people like SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, rise to the occasion, an MVP candidate. Can he be the face of the league? And then you have guys like Jason Tatum, who over the years, we felt like he should be on that level, but he just hasn't made it there. And now in the playoffs, we have Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Haliburton, Luka Doncic, as well as Jason Tatum. And I'm asking myself, which of these guys will claim this championship and become the face of the NBA? And a part of me thinks that the player that does win this chip in 2024 will be the new face of the NBA. But there's another player that people are not talking about in this capacity, but the player is arguably the most popular player in the world right now. And I'm talking about someone you would never guess, you would never imagine. I'm talking about Caitlin Clark. Now stay with me. How can Caitlin Clark be the new face of the NBA? I get it. She don't even play in the NBA. I totally understand if you're giving pushback right now. But stay with me. Think about it like this. The WNBA and the NBA are aligned, right? They're like connected leagues. They have shared interests. They work together. So if the NBA wins, the WNBA wins. But people haven't really looked at it vice versa. If the WNBA wins, the NBA wins, right? It's always been like big brother, little sister type deal. But with Caitlin Clark, we haven't seen a basketball player with this kind of buzz in years. And we've never seen a female women's basketball player create this kind of hype and this kind of buzz. And honestly, creating new fans. People were there, like when Diana Taurasi came into the league, like into the WNBA, like people like tuned in. She had a really high rated, she had a lot of viewers pull up to her first game. Like it was widely watched and followed. But with Caitlin Clark, we're having people who never watch basketball come. Like we are not creating just new WNBA fans. The level above that is she's creating new NBA fans. And the level above that is she's creating new basketball fans. So I would argue, as insane as it might feel and sound, that the new face of the NBA is Caitlin Clark. Not an NBA player, not Luka, not Giannis, not Ant-Man, not Ja Morant, none of these guys. It's, in fact, Caitlin Clark. We've already experienced the Caitlin Clark effect. Like, she came in the league, and she's like, man, that's messed up that y'all got us on commercial flights. Now they got charter jets. We've seen her game, the finals against South Carolina was the biggest game. I think it was 18 million viewers in 5 years, the biggest basketball game. So that's just not college women's sports. That's men's college, NBA, FIBA, and one mixtape. Huh? Come on, man. I'm just saying. Like, I call it like I see it. So I could be wrong, but I believe her trajectory of bringing new fans to WNBA will allow her to also impact not just her league, but also the NBA as well, especially if the NBA and WNBA get it right for All-Star Weekend. We saw Sabrina Ionescu do a matchup against Steph Curry for the three-point contest. If they incorporate Caitlin Clark into some kind of activities for the All-Star Weekend, I think that's how they really, really can win. So there you have it. The new face of the NBA will actually be a WNBA player, and it will be Caitlin Clark.